I haven't been reading converse or anything. Wow, okay. The off nights. Seagulls. I love the seagulls.
No, the seagulls are. You got to wait for the seagulls to disappear here.
Okay. Hey, folks, how's it going? You got it. You're right. It's the off night. And it's going to be wild tonight. We got 4 guys hanging out, just doing everything they can to make and entertain you guys. So please welcome your host, your MC, the guy that runs this whole thing. Welcome, Mr. Mark Sweetman.
Hey. Thank you very much, Andy, and welcome to the off night. We're on Tuesday night now because yesterday was a holiday and I had plans, so we delayed it a day. We did that for the 4th of July, and we did it for Memorial Day, so that's not right. Unusual. And it's, this stays up on YouTube, I guess, forever. They've only pulled one down, and that's the time that I use the Spinners music rather than the free music that I've discovered. Anyway,
wow. I'm glad you found the free music. I don't want to be arrested.
No, I don't. All they do is, they don't arrest you. They just take it down. That's all. All right, Andy. It's been a while. We didn't have a live show this week like we usually do the night before our show, so I didn't get to see you.
That's true.
How's your week gone? Anything adventurous?
I like to think that I'm an adventurous guy, but no, I've been kind of we did go and see Jaws on the big screen over at the Cinemark, and it was actually on the IMAX screen.
Wow!
So it was rather.
Now that wasn't shot for IMAX. So what did I guess they have a way of redoing it or something?
Yeah, they redid it. They re-put it out there in an IMAX format, and it was huge. The Jaws were huge. It was still a very viable.
The Jaws were huge. They were huge in the original.
Yeah, it was very good. Very good.
Everything was huge about it. All right, excellent.
Yeah, you got ourselves right down almost. And here's the thing is, this is the thing is, it was almost empty. So what do these people do? This is what happened. We got in there. They ran it the whole week. I guess we saw it on a really like a Sunday night.
Okay.
So not the night for going out, but there was nobody in the place. So what did the people at the gate do? They sold us tickets that sat us right next to the only other 2 people in the place.
They didn't let you
right next to each other. We were all like completely empty place. And they sat us right next to each other to 2 other complete strangers.
You know what? It could have been worse. Now, it could have been worse. They could have let you into the theater.
This is basically,
and then gone down front and say, "All right, could everybody please move closer? It makes the show a lot better if you're closer to the screen."
Yeah, exactly. Have the MC come down. Yeah, I was like, this is basically the philosophy of I want to go into the wilderness, but I want to build a house right next to the guy that built a house in the middle of the wilderness. I don't want to be alone.
Now, whose idea was it to have a now 46-year-old film in IMAX? And did they think that was going to sell? Did they think that people had really not seen Jaws until they saw it in IMAX?
Well, actually, I think it probably did pretty well on Saturday and Friday.
Okay.
The Sunday night, not so good. It was like everybody's off getting drunk at the beach, as opposed to going to a movie about the beach.
The beach. There you go. All right. I'll buy that. Should we get the other guys out here now, or do you have more things to tell me? Oh, I had COVID.
How's your COVID thing?
It's done. I tested negative, so I'm done with that. The worst part of it was my wife had worse symptoms than I did.
Oh, wow.
So I get to hear about that. About everything. All the bad stuff happens to her. All the good stuff happens to me. So that's the worst. That's the worst thing that happened with COVID is that my wife had it worse than I did. And 5 of the 7 that still live here got it. So my 2 youngest sons and myself, my wife, and my oldest daughter got it. So,
Huh.
our
Okay.
second oldest daughter. My oldest daughter got it back in January. So, but I guess there's new variants. So, and I guess this new booster they got coming out is going to cover all the latest variants. So I guess it's the variant I just got. So, but they said they're talking now like they're going to have it like it's going to be part of your flu shot regimen. So for
Exactly.
us people over 60, all of us over 60 are going to get it like we get a flu shot every fall.
Exactly. That's the way I was going to work out. I'm still worried about the monkeypox. I'm a little worried about the monkeypox vaccine. I don't think I need it because I've got the smallpox vaccine.
I don't know. I don't. You know, it depends. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with not paying attention to that stuff. And this happens because monkeypox right now, they make a big deal out of it being men who have sex with men, is that half the country goes, oh, well, that's not me, you know. And so they just kind of ignore it. Meanwhile, it mutates and, you know, changes. And then we all got it, you know, that type of thing. Yeah. Anyway, let's get everyone out here. I'm going to read Susan's poem, so I'm going to get everyone out here. And they're here every week with us, and we always enjoy their contributions from New York. Our only professional radio guy in the whole group, but he's also a stand-up comic for over 45 years. How about a warm welcome from New York City? Here he is, Sam Greenfield, everybody.
Ooh.
There he is.
You know, I got the monkeypox. I was going to get the monkeypox inoculation, but then somebody told me you have this overwhelming urge to throw shit against the window. So I decided to not.
Every time I hear a monkeypox story on the radio, or on the television, I think of Rocky Top, that old bluegrass
country song.
Yeah, so I'm going,
Rocky
monkeypox, you'll always be. Home sweet home.
Home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top. Rocky Top, Tennessee.
There we go.
All right. So now,
did you hear what happened?
As if Andy and Mark and Sam weren't enough, for the last 3 months, we've been joined by our fellow comedian, a guy who is funnier than his confidence, but his confidence is coming along slowly now at the Unclub on Sunday nights in Ipsy. Hey, let's welcome him back. Here he is, Jason Grant, everybody. Hey, Jason, how's it going?
Hey.
I would have joined in with the Rocky Top song, but I'm not inbred, so.
That song sounds great.
You're sure?
Well,
we really need a banjo. We really need a banjo to do that song justice.
I might be.
That reminds me. Did you hear what happened in Idaho?
Pardon me?
Where?
400 people in Idaho. 400 armed. Went to a school and demanded, here's a list of books that we want taken out of your shelves.
I saw that.
None of those books were on the shelves.
Did these people know how to read to begin with? I think that would be my first question.
Well,
like, if you can read the title, let me know. Then we can go from there.
Well, this is the kind of place that people go to family reunions to meet chicks. So.
Well,
exactly.
Sam, you were talking about being in Iowa, and I was thinking the last time I performed in Iowa, it was just to get a ride home.
Well, that was Idaho, I thought. I thought it was Idaho. Was it Iowa?
No, the thing with Fred Grandy. The thing with Fred Grandy was Iowa. But you know, Iowa has the highest literacy rate in the United States.
Well, both people?
Yeah, well, they've got that writers program at the University of Iowa, one of the most well-respected writers programs.
And when I performed there, the audiences were great.
Yeah, Iowa's got one of the best acting schools as well.
Yes.
A buddy of mine who.
And corn? Oh my God, their corn is awesome.
And UFOs. That might have to do with their method.
UFOs. And they've got that dickhead. What's his name? King. Steve King. Isn't Steve King from Iowa? Congressman Steve King, remember him?
Oh, that douchebag. He's not a congressman anymore, I don't think.
No, I don't think he is.
He's really.
All right, before we get into our topics of discussion, let me read my wife's poem. She will not be here tonight. We discussed that before we get on the air, so I won't bring that up anymore. It's really totally uninteresting to any of our viewers, but the rest of us know about it. So here's Susan's poem. This is called Poem on the Off Night. She called it Off Night because it's Tuesday and not Monday.
We get it.
All right.
Thanks for the tip off.
All right.
That's why.
All right. All right. You be as nasty as you want on the off night. When we get to New York in November, please be kind to my wife. I do not want her crying into the street.
It's November?
We're coming in November. We'll talk about it later.
November 10th to 13th.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Isn't
it.
it amazing I remembered that?
Yeah, isn't that something? Anyway, here's the poem from my wife. NASA could not launch its Artemis. Going to the moon is not a rush. California fires and a power grid crisis. There's news about the Taliban and ISIS. Mass Christian clergy in Nigeria abduction. Shooters in Canada are without compunction. It is Tuesday after the holiday. The Off Night podcast is on delay.
If I may interject one thing, the people in Canada were stabbers; they weren't shooters.
Oh yeah.
Well.
Oh, she said. You're right. I wonder if she heard mass murder in Canada and just assumed it was guns.
Everything I read said stabbers.
Yeah, I saw stabbing too.
By the way, you were talking about going to a theater with like very few people. Andy was.
Yeah. Andy would see Jaws.
Years ago, I was working in Boston, and you're free during the day, and there's this huge movie theater, huge, like the old style ones.
Yeah, like we have in downtown Detroit. Yeah.
Right. Near the comedy club.
Right.
So I went in to see the movie Misery.
Oh.
Now, you ready for this? There were 3 people in the theater, and a fight broke out.
It wasn't
me.
I've got 3 great movie stories. 3 great movie stories. Right. Number 1, I'm working with Peter Moore and Rami Angelic down in Florida. I couldn't even tell you the city, but it was some Florida run. And we go to see, I think it was called Winter Bone or something like that. Not Winter Bone.
Winter's Bone with Jennifer Lawrence.
Nope, because Jennifer Lawrence wouldn't have been born at this time. This was like back in the 80s. So it was
okay.
It had Mary Steenburgen in it. I remember that. And so the movie's starting, and we get through the credits, and then these people behind us are talking. We're thinking, well, through the credits, maybe they'll shut up afterwards. So they're still talking about 5 minutes in it, and Rami turns around and goes, "Would you mind? We paid money. We came here to watch a film." And they all kind of, it's just a bunch of young boys, and so they shut up. And so we're into the movie about 30 minutes now, and the movie was so bad, she turns back to these kids and goes, "All right, you can start talking again." That's story number 1. The second story, and I may have told this on the show before, was my wife and I went to see Schindler's List. And it was at one of the older theaters in town, the Civic, for you guys that are local. But it was a small theater, and it was maybe it was like a second run. In other words, it already had its first run at the big multiplexes. So this is a single theater. So we're there. And the projector breaks down just before the shower scene. Before the shower. And so, they had everyone was herded into the shower, and and they do the close up of the shower head, and the water comes, and then the film projector just breaks. Everybody waits for a little bit, So finally, the usher comes and goes, "Sorry, folks, we're gonna have to we'll refund all your money, but we can't get the projector working." So everybody gets a refund, and so we decide to go back the next night. But we checked the time on our watches because we didn't want to go back and see the whole thing. So now we come in, and we had the ticket that they gave us from the previous night, and we said we just want to go in at the scene where we came in, and it's at this time like 5:20, whatever the time was. And so the usher's taking us down with a flashlight, and he's like, all these people are going, what's going on here? And he's going, and he's saying things like, "So this is the part you wanted to see?" Like we were just there. That's story number 2. And everybody's just looking at us like, "Oh, you horrid people!" Like, coming back.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
Why don't you just wait for video? Why don't you just wait for video and use the pause and reverse button? You you ain't great, you know. But and then
if you didn't
I was working at Zany's in Chicago on Wells Street, over there by Second City, and right around the corner was this theater that played foreign films, and there was a French film being played that we had heard about, and this is when we were still in college when I was working at Zany's, and so we go around the corner and we're watching this film, and it's in English, but they had French subtitles, right? Or no, wait a minute, it was in French, but they had English subtitles. And so we're watching this film, and all of a sudden the sound goes up, but we can still read the subtitles, so we're reading along. But what happened was most of the people in the theater were there for the French film and couldn't read the English subtitles, so they started cursing at the screen in French. It was story number. Yeah, because we're watching it for 30. None of the people that were reading the English subtitles thought anything of it. The sound just went out, no big deal. But then the people that were the French-speaking people were getting ripped off. So those are my three movie stories.
John Mendoza said when he was in the Air Force, he went to see. He said on TV they had Bonanza.
Uh-huh.
He said Hop Singh spoke English.
Perfect British, perfect English. There we go. Yes.
Yeah.
Abramowitz, Levinson.
Oh dear.
Man.
Wow.
So anyway, any news? Let me see what we got.
I saw this. Did you ever watch the show Con? It's about like con men. The one they had today was about Jim Baker. Was about Jim Baker.
I saw you did it. I saw you did a TikTok.
Right, I did a TikTok on it, and Jim Baker was recommending something.
A Michigan boy, by the way.
Yes, that's right. Recommending something to cure your COVID, which of course was a total ripoff.
Great.
And he said, all you gotta do is send me this money. And I put this in the TikTok. I said, it occurred to me, there's not that much difference between him and Trump. They both get really stupid, gullible people to send them money, and they don't do with that money what they say they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no difference. By the way, I know I didn't tell you this. When Jim and Tammy Faye Baker worked at PTL under the auspices of Pat Robertson,
yes,
Mm-hmm.
they had a little puppet show.
I remember that.
Right. They were so despised by the crew that when they were fired, the crew had a party and burned the puppets at the stake.
Oh my God, I love that. Oh, that's perfect.
That is. That is wonderful.
Help! It hurts! It hurts! Help! Stop!
You should have thought about that before you went with those freaks. I'll tell you who I felt sorry for. I felt sorry for Tammy Faye Baker.
Did you see the movie they did?
I did.
I didn't see that. I haven't seen that yet. It's the girl got nominated for it. I can't.
She won. She won.
Oh, cool.
Jessica Chastain.
Jessica Chastain. That's her name.
I felt bad for her because, I mean, she certainly accepted all the jewelry and everything, blah blah blah, but she was an innocent in this. It was Baker. He said, God, Jesus told you you're supposed to, have all. And she went, okay, well, he's my husband. I trust him. The guy she married after him was a much nicer guy and took care of her while she was dying.
Oh, good for him.
Well,
his name was Roe Messner.
Okay.
And not that anyone gives a shit, but Baker is just like,
he's still on the air.
Well, the gutter is beneath this guy.
Well, now hold on. He is a man who appreciates prison sex, so he can't be.
Who appreciates what? Prison sex.
Prison sex.
Prison sex. So he will soon be an advisor for Trump.
Well, by the way, By the way, you can read more about it in Jim Baker's new book about prison sex. What are you doing back there?
I wrote a piece. I wrote a piece for Paul Krasner's Realist about Jim Baker. It was a satirical piece, but this is about 35 years ago now. Do you remember Paul Krasner's Realist?
Sure, of course.
The satirical magazine. Yeah, I wrote when Jim Baker first went to prison. You know who his cellmate was?
Larry
Who?
Holmes.
Lyndon LaRouche.
No shit.
Wow.
I should pull up that piece though.
Wow.
I'll send it to you if
God,
I
I
can
love
find
Lyndon LaRouche. He was the guy who made politics fun in the 80s.
it. He'd get elected today.
Oh, yeah. More
Yeah.
people died in Ted Kennedy's car than in nuclear power accidents. And the Queen of England was the world's biggest cocaine dealer.
Heroin. Get it straight. It was heroin. He said heroin, not
And-
cocaine.
Cocaine, heroin, yes.
With the noted homosexual Henry Kissinger. I mean, it was just like, it's like, did you
Lyndon LaRouche, the night before the election in 1976, when Ford was running against Carter, Ford paid for an hour and a half of network time, and Carter paid for an hour, and there was from 10:30 to 11 o'clock, and they sold it to Lyndon LaRouche. Do you remember that? And Lyndon LaRouche got on there for half an hour saying that a vote for Jimmy Carter was a vote for a war with Mexico.
Well, yeah, of course.
Do you remember going through airports and you would see LaRouche people at their little desks?
Yes.
Oh,
They were like at the opposite end of the Moonies. You had the Moonies
Yes.
and the LaRouches, you know.
I'll tell you how bad they were. I'd rather listen to a Mooney than listen to them.
So where would the Hare Krishna fit in on this scale?
And why haven't there's our project, because I think we could sell that, Sam. We should write the Lyndon LaRouche story. We should write.
Oh, wow.
Is he alive?
You know, he's gone.
No.
He's gone.
All right, then let's write it.
I'd make it a musical.
Well, Lyndon LaRouche and Fred Phelps. Now that's a ticket. That's a ticket we need.
Who was the second name?
Fred Phelps.
Fred Phelps.
Reverence.
Did I tell you I interviewed him?
No, did you?
Great VP.
He was the most vile human being I have ever interviewed in my life. And I interviewed Cosby. No.
All right. Hey, speaking of interviews, whatever became of that Lansing job? Did you ever hear back from them?
No, and I think that's the answer to your question.
No. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Here's the thing about radio. If you don't hear back from them in 3 days, it ain't happening.
Yeah. Okay.
It's but in talking to the guy, I got a certain vibe, and the vibe. How do I put this? No fucking way, I think is the way I put it.
NFW.
I never thought. You talk to someone, and if you think you have a shot at the job, there's a certain level of enthusiasm coming from them. When I got hired in Vegas, the guy who hired me did a very unique thing. He said, listen, I want you to go on the air. He had no idea if I could do radio. I mean, I told him I could, but, he didn't know. And he said, I want you to go on the air today. I want you to do 3 hours. Okay. I said, all right. So I did 3 hours. Yeah, the first thing I did was I got up very early in the morning and I brought 5 newspapers. Mm-hmm. And I combed through them, so I'd have something to talk about. Some stations don't ask you to have callers. This one did. So I engaged with the callers.
Now, did you have a producer that helped you set up the calls and all that stuff? Or did you have to do that on your own?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the producer does is like this. Look, Bob, name, where he's from, topic. Right. That's really it. And I always tell my producer, I don't want to know more than that.
Yeah, that's okay, but at least they're treating him so you're not the first one talking to him. That's
well, no, they can't. They can't do that because this is what happens. I want to tell that son of a bit. Hello. That's why you have a producer. Although, I'll tell you this later. It's but so I did the 3 hours and I felt good about it, and I walked into his office and he went, "Okay, it's you."
Nice.
I said, I'm hired. And he goes, yeah, I'm hiring you. I said, I'm not trying to fight off the feeling, and I'm very grateful, and I want the job. But didn't you have people coming in here from Los Angeles who've been like doing radio for 10 years? He goes, yeah, I just called them all.
Wow.
Wow.
How long was that? How long did that gig last? Your
Just a
Vegas
week. He really gave Rue to hate me. No. He said, God, did I blow this one?
Did I blow that one?
Jeez.
Which is also what Jim Faker said to Fred Phelps.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
Yeah, thank you, folks. I'm here. All
Sam
right.
Greenfield later. Sam Greenfield later. He's here every week. Sam Greenfield.
let
everybody.
him know.
don't
Always
forget
put a blow job joke in there. There you go.
If you can't, you're not the man you said you were. And no, so I said to him, I said, didn't you? And he said, yeah, I called them. It's you. I said, I did the gig in answer to your question. I did the gig for 3 years.
That's
Nice.
pretty good.
Nice.
That's good in
And
radio.
here's what happened. The guy who hired me moved to New York for a station there. And he took me with him.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So when we got there, it was at a station that was owned by the Hebrew
Rupert.
Daily Forward.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You know, I used to do a great joke. This is a terrible thing to say. I did a great joke about the Hebrew Daily Forward. I said, stop the presses, hold the back page.
I love it. I love it. Are they
But,
is the Hebrew Forward, the Hebrew Daily Forward, are they the ones that used to advertise late night all the time?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
and they own the station, and the station was WEVD. Get ready for this, which was the initials of Eugene V. Debs.
I love it.
Wow.
So it was like a radical station in its early
Not
days?
at all. No.
Oh, really? Oh,
No,
it just
no.
happened. It just worked out that way.
No, but they were the owner was an admirer of Debs.
Oh, okay.
But the motto of the station was, and I'll explain why in about 2 seconds, the station that speaks your language, because they had shows to Greek audiences and they had shows to Hungarian, they had all, and I thought, and this station had been on forever. And I thought, man, I am set for life. I was there 2 years and they sold it to ESPN.
Of course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And what they did was, that was their new, what they sold it for was so much money. I mean, I hate them for selling it, but I understand why. It was their annuity.
Yeah, I believe it.
It was absolutely
when I
their
was-
annuity.
Those
You
4 years I
remember
was.
that was, Sam?
That was. Hold on, give me a second. That 1990. It was 2000. Oh, I'll tell you what year it was. Greenfield loses his job at WEVD 5 days before 9/11.
Okay,
Wow.
Yeah. That was when they started to allow the conglomeration
Exactly.
broadcast, and it's one of those things that I've been screaming about ever since.
Well, that's why there's no live and local radio anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's absolutely devastating to local media, and our dear Republican friends sold it all to us as going to be the thing that uses the free market to open it up, and it did the exact opposite. What a surprise!
Yeah.
Well, no, of course it did. Of course. Well, we know that, Jason, but of course it didn't. And here's the thing: I'm sorry, the reason that EVD sold the station to ESPN is because, and their signal was not that strong. Okay, it was fairly strong, but it wasn't is so that when ESPN sold airtime, they could tell an advertiser, yes, we have a station in New York.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. Okay. And their ratings were horrendous.
We had a great classical music station, a commercial classical radio station out of Detroit.
WQRS.
Remember, and it was bought and sold and went through about a dozen different formats, and I wouldn't listen to it now if you put a gun to the back of my head. And all this went on, and again, that they sold it under the rubric that this was going to open things up, and it's like, no, this is going to do the exact opposite. People, stop! What are you doing? And yet, both parties went along. to be fair, the Republicans led the way. I'm not going to whitewash history here. And I just, to me, it's sort of like the vanguard of what we're looking at now, sort of this media conglomeration, because what's important is that people don't talk to each other and don't listen to each other. Because I used to love freaky local radios. It was the best. You guys all remember the 70s and like tuning in on stuff at night.
Yeah.
What the hell is this? What are they?
Getting your, I remember at 13 getting my first FM radio.
Yes.
After spending 7 years with my transistor on the AM dial, I got my first FM radio.
Yeah.
But see, the reason they do this, one of the reasons they do this is, first of all, it's cheaper.
Oh yeah,
it's much cheaper. You're not paying one guy $4.5 million. He's in 70 stations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're paying him a nice bit of change, but you'd be paying that to like 40 different guys otherwise.
Well, we can't have that, can we?
No,
we got to make sure all the money goes into the pockets of billionaires, right?
And by the way, I just found out the reason. When Imus quit radio, he quit like boom. I quit. Like there was no build up, and I just found out why like 3 months ago. I can't remember the name of the conglomerate that owned that state. Infinity.
Yeah, they changed their name,
which is ironic since they're off the air. But anyway, now they changed it to not Infinity. And so they told Imus, they literally said this to Imus, we're not going to pay you anymore.
Wow.
And he said, he told someone, I literally thought they meant, we're not going to pay you any less, but we're not going to pay you any more. No, we're not paying you ever again, is what they meant. And he quit. He quit that day. He walked out.
Wow.
But he was richer. He was richer than Roosevelt. So
Yeah. You do remember? I can't remember the name of the conglomerate, but it was essentially a Christian broadcasting network, Friends of the Bush family, and they came in and swept up
Crawford Broadcasting.
Yeah, remember? Yeah. And how many different smaller stations, and not to mention how many people who used to work at these stations, and it was great. These people made a living, and there were actual real human beings running the board, being on air. And
it wasn't one monkey, Paul. Exactly.
Feed, someone pushed a button on network feed, and that was it. And to me, local radio pretty much dead.
I was kicked off of a Crawford station. I wasn't working there. I was being interviewed, and I was literally told on the air, you can leave now. and so this is what happened. I told you the first part of this story once, I think, but what happened was they said they talked about people who they admired. And it's just hysterical to me, these con men, huckster televangelists who they admired. It was just, so one of the people they admired was Ernest Angley.
Yes.
And do you guys know who Ernest Angley is?
The name sounds very familiar.
Okay, so the first thing I did that pissed them off, I went, and I knew who he was, because I used to work in Akron, and that's where his prayer tower was. I worked at the Hilarities in Cuyahoga Falls.
Yeah.
And so I said, Ernest Angley, is that the guy with the toupee from Bill's Carpet Warehouse? and of course, they hated that. Yeah. And then I said, that prayer tower he has, and the other comedian who's working with me is in the room with me, and he's going like this. But there was no chance I wasn't going to do this. So I go, the Ernest Angley's prayer tower has a cafeteria, and they wouldn't feed me. And the guy interviewing me literally went like, because he knew something shitty was about to happen, and he went, "Why?" And I said, "Well, I asked them. I said, when you serve bread, do you serve loaves of bread?" And he went, "Yeah, we have a whole loaf." Well, I like the end of it. I like the heel. and that's when I was asked to
oh dear.
Leave. I think leave.
Ainsley just died 4 months ago. I just looked him up on Wikipedia. He just died 4 months ago.
How old was he? He had to be in his 80s.
Yeah.
He lived. He was 99.
God bless him.
If he would have made it
All
till
those
August 9th, if he would have made it till August 9th, he would have reached his 100th birthday.
Oh, that's nice.
wow,
Hey,
all those years picking pockets.
Akron, Ohio. Ernest Winston Angley.
you see, my favorite grifter preacher had to be Dr. Gene Scott because
Oh yeah.
he
Oh,
could there.
with the wide brimmed hat. That guy.
Is,
Yes, with
is he a local?
No, he was out of Los Angeles.
Oh,
My
oh,
dad.
the guy with the sunglasses.
Yes, the
Oh,
wide
yeah.
brimmed hat, the sunglasses. He had the beard.
and he just
Yeah,
free money.
yeah. What was his name again?
Rick
Dr. Gene Scott.
Gene Scott.
Yep. Oh,
And
And he
he
wasn't
talked
always
like
a
he was.
preacher, didn't he? Didn't he start off as like a used car salesman or something? He like had.
They all did, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I think he was one of. I think it was like Cal Worthington, but not as Cal Worthington.
Gas and gun.
But he talked like he was doing a dirty phone call.
Yes, yes, that's the guy.
yes. I'd be doing lines of coke and watching Gene Scott all night long, thinking I could send you this money, but I got to go over there and blow a coke dealer for another $0.25 gram. So sorry, Gene, you're out. But as long as you're on, I'm going to watch. I mean, he was a lot of fun, especially if you were coked out of your gourd in the mid '80s. I couldn't recommend.
Let me tell you the on-air radio personality. No one, and I mean this in admiration, no one fascinated me more than Art Bell.
Art was amazing.
Oh, the UFO guy, right? Is that
Yeah.
Art Bell?
No one ever fascinated me more than Art Bell, because even if you don't believe that there are UFOs, and I'm starting to, by the way, but even if you don't think that they're UFOs, his delivery was so spot on.
Yeah.
The timbre of his voice was so good.
Yeah.
The way his grasp of knowledge of what he was talking about. There was no dead air with Art Bell.
Art was a great radio guy.
Oh man, I mean, and he broadcast from a double wide. You know that.
Yeah.
From Nevada. Yep.
And I met him because I was in Vegas.
I believe that's a euphemism for all the MAGA people. They're broadcasting from a double wide.
Double wide.
Well, they're referring to their spouses.
Double wide.
Please.
But I met Art Bell because he broadcast on KXNT, which is what I was on, and
KXNT.
when I met him, I thought he was going to be like, "Oh, it's you," kind of thing.
Right.
And I said, "It's really nice to meet you." He goes, "I've listened to your show." I went, "Oh shit, here it comes." He goes, "You're a funny guy."
Oh,
and I was like, I was on cloud nine. I was so happy he thought I was funny.
I only got to talk to the guy on air once, and he complimented me on the caliber of my question. And my question didn't have anything to do with UFOs. It was about how he selected his material and what went on in the background, because I've always loved radio as a medium. And
that's one of the reasons. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'd say it would be Art Bell, and he said that's an excellent question.
Well, that was one of the keys to his greatness.
Yeah.
In other words, if you asked him a question, now that question wasn't about UFOs, but it was germane to what he does.
Yes.
And that's how he handled it. He didn't go, "Well, I don't want to talk about that." No, let me field this question.
Yeah,
let me do this. No, he was terrific. He was just terrific.
Works.
We also had a guy named Lou Epton.
Yes.
And Lou invited me and my wife over to his house for dinner. He had 2 Doberman pinchers in the house, in a cage.
Oh God.
And I said to his wife, I said, "Who feeds them?" And she goes, "Lou and only Lou." I go, "How do you like having 2 dogs in the house?" She goes, "It's funny you ask me that, because I've given him an ultimatum." And I went, and I jokingly said, "What, it's you or the dog?" She went, "Yes."
Yeah.
I went, holy shit. Holy shit. All righty.
Yeah.
But this was Lou's. Lou was a conspiracy theorist.
Yes.
of such magnitude. He would have people call, okay, and somebody would say, "I'll tell you what I just found out. I just found out that the Clintons have both sold 5.5 million tons of soybeans to the Iraqi government in exchange for 500 pounds of heroin, which
Ah,
they are selling to African Americans in the southern states. Now, anybody else in their right mind would go, okay, you're insane. Have fun. This is what Lou said. Well, you know Bubba. And I said to his producer, I said, does he really believe that? He goes, yes. And he said it like that. He goes, yes. Yes, he does. I go, well, that's frightening. He goes, yes, it is. And his wife did eventually leave him.
Mm.
yeah.
See, if I was Lou, his
Who
wife
got the
was.
dogs? Who got custody of the dogs?
I got to think he did.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Lou. If I was him, I would have dumped those dogs like nuclear waste. His wife was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, and he goes, do you know how much these dogs mean to me? She goes, I do now.
Wow.
And I saw her because she stayed in Vegas. I saw her, and I said, "How you doing?" She goes, "For the first time in 11 years, I don't smell like mutt." I also met being in Vegas. I met the Smothers Brothers, and
Oh, wow.
and Dickie Smothers used to listen to my show, and he made me a little uncomfortable because he met my wife, and he goes, "Man, I'd keep an eye out on her if I were you. That's a good-looking woman." I went, I don't feel the compunction to have to keep an eye out for her. He goes, well, some smooth talking guy. And I went, like you? And I go, but he was married at the time.
Mm.
Honey, you remember my wife's here. Honey, you remember Dickie Smothers?
Was he the one that played Harry Reid in Casino, or was it the other one? I can never get their names
That was
right.
him.
That was him. Okay, yeah, they're great.
That was him.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was. It really was.
All-time favorite movies.
Casino.
Oh God, I love that movie.
David Spade said something about that movie that really it didn't bother me per se, but he was so wrong.
Oh,
He was
yeah,
doing that little quickie thing he did,
Yeah.
on Saturday Night Live, and he went, Casino, Casino. It was Goodfellas. That was better. I thought Casino was terrific.
I
So did I.
I think it's not the same movie as Goodfellas, but
By the way, if you ever see it again, okay, I don't know if you watch movies, again, but if you ever see it again, watch for this carefully. You remember the scene where Sharon Stone gets dragged down the stairs and thrown out onto the street?
one of my favorite scenes.
Right?
Yeah.
If you look carefully, that's a stunt woman.
Right.
You never see Sharon Stone's face except for the first 2 seconds and when they toss her on the street. You never see her face. She hides it with her arm or whatever. You never see it. Because when I first saw that scene, I thought to myself, she can't be doing this. That's a stunt woman deal. She could twist an ankle, something like that. Production's delayed for 3 days. And I watched it again. I went, son of a bitch, it is a stunt woman.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, and I love the Joe Pesci character just saying, "Okay, be careful, take it easy."
Oh yeah.
Standing out there cursing at him and
and at the end of that scene where he goes, I really fucked up.
Yes.
Why did I get involved with this broad?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And when she said I can back him off, and De Niro says, and this is how she backed him off.
Yeah. And again, De Niro, he's such a good actor. He plays a Jewish guy, and I buy it.
He was a Jewish guy in Once Upon a Time in America too.
Yeah, that's right.
Made his bones as an Italian mobster, and he doesn't. But look at James Caan in Godfather when he's playing Don Rickles essentially as Sonny Corleone. I mean, the guy's a copper top, but yet you buy that he's an Italian mobster. It's amazing that some of these guys are able to sort of
Yeah,
create.
and both parents were Sicilian, so it wasn't like, oh yeah, she could have been Irish. No.
Yeah, it
Really?
wasn't. Yeah, we didn't mix Annie Hall in until the next generation.
Oh God. Oh, was the first movie of Woody Allen's that I saw that just absolutely blew me out of my socks. Because I was 16, 17 when that came out.
What,
And
Annie Hall?
yeah,
Yeah.
when I saw it, it's like, oh, this is absolute brilliant. And
The
When he pulled Marshall McLuhan out of the line at the movie
yes,
theater.
Oh my God!
exactly.
You have no idea about my work or anything. Don't you wish things could be like this? Oh,
Yeah.
my favorite scene in that movie is when Annie's grandmother looks over at Woody, and he looks like a Hasidic rabbi.
Yes, Grammy Hall.
And he goes, now the grandmother, he breaks the fourth wall. The grandmother, real Jew hater.
Of course, the best shot from that scene was the camera panning over to Christopher Walken after.
That was when he talks about he has a daydream where he's going to crash into a wall while he's driving,
and then he's driving him back to the airport.
And Annie is oblivious to it.
I know,
Annie's
because he didn't say it to her.
Oblivious to it.
He just said it to Ellen.
And the look on Woody Allen's face. Oh my God! Oh my God! Just genius. Oh,
really, last night I saw the movie about Ed Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ed Wood is the name of the movie, and there's
Yeah.
a few
with Martin Landau.
Martin, and Landau.
Johnny Depp, one of his best performances.
Johnny Depp was in that too.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
You see what Martin Landau got the Academy Award he deserved for that? I mean,
yes, he did.
When he calls Borloff, was it Karloff, a limey cocksucker, I just about fell out of my chair.
Oh, that was great. That was great. Oh man.
Yeah. I mean,
But it's interesting because growing up, I had no idea that Bela Lugosi was a smack freak.
No, I had no idea either. I
mean, it's not something you'd publicize, but
no, not really.
I used to read enough about stuff. I would say, oh yeah, but he didn't do anything of limey cocksucker.
Cocksucker.
Eddie. My medicine, Eddie. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, here Landau had worked for so many years on Mission Impossible. He was always the guy with the makeup and the disguises, and here he's in this role where he has to be kind of made up. He has a long, narrow face. He's not like Bela Lugosi was, but yet the way they made him up and
he made it work.
Yeah, but those speeches were great. Pull the string, pull the string. Yes. Pull the string.
Well, the thing that killed me about that movie was, of course, that Ed Wood was the worst director in the history of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And the thing that made me laugh, Jason, is when he would end a scene by going, cut, print, perfect. Perfect.
Cut, print. You don't want a safety one? No, we're good. Move on. Here we go.
Well, you know who's famous for filming every movie on time and under budget?
Well, I think Woody's always
Clint Eastwood.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you saw the movie Unforgiven,
yeah,
the scene where Gene Hackman is beating the shit out of Morgan Freeman, that's a rehearsal. The thing you saw on the screen, that was a rehearsal.
Yeah.
And they finished, and Eastwood said, "Okay, that's good." And I did an interview with one of the guys who worked with Eastwood, one of the film loaders, and he said, with most of these guys, you cut, print, and then you have 15 minutes. You can get a smoke. No, not with Clint. Cut, print. All right, now we're going over here. And you have to start grabbing shit, and running.
Wow. That guy, yes.
And they would. Somebody asked him once. They said, "Why do you insist on doing?" He said, it's a funny thing. People don't realize this is my job. And like most people, I enjoy what I do, but I'd like to get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't feel like lingering. So, if I get it done in time, you know, and the guys won 2 Academy Awards for Best Movie, so, and 2 Best Directors for
Mm-hmm.
Million Dollar Baby and for Unforgiven.
Yeah.
But the thing that amazed me about Unforgiven was that Gene Hackman was actually the good guy.
For a
Mm-hmm.
change.
These were killers.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
were hired guns to go into a town and kill people. Gene Hackman was the law. Gene Hackman. So when he beat the shit out of English Bob, Richard Harris,
Yes.
he was doing something correct.
Yep.
I love the fact that when they gave Richard Harris's gun back to him, it was bent in half.
Hey, does anyone know the scene in Ed Wood where Ed Wood is Johnny Depp is dressed as a woman and he's talking to Orson Welles?
Yes, that's my favorite scene.
Did that happen, or is that something that the writers concocted? I mean, I want that to be true. I don't know if it is true. I want it to be true. That you
Well,
have
one of the things about movies like this that people don't pay attention to is when you see the movie, it says based on.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. It's
It
not,
doesn't say
Yeah.
accurate portrayal.
no, it's not a documentary.
So Green Book, the movie about Don Shirley,
Yeah.
Mhm.
It says based on. And his family, this you talk about petty. His family said, "Let me tell you something. That movie had inaccuracies." And the interviewer said, "Well, like what?" "Well, that Cadillac wasn't that color." "Really? That's what you're hanging on to?" It wasn't turquoise? Holy shit. Get a lawyer now. Shut up. Shut up. Please,
It wasn't
God.
turquoise. Wow.
And the guy who Viggo Mortensen, who was brilliant in that movie, played Tony Lip.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had a rather extensive movie career.
Who, Tony Lip?
Yeah, he was in The Sopranos. He played a mafiosa.
He was in Goodfellas.
Mhm.
Yep. He's done a lot of work.
In the Sopranos, he played Carmine, the head of the other family, not Carmine.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did a lot of work.
Yep. And and also with what you mentioned, Ed Wood, I was saying cut, print it, perfect. And I can remember both Peter Bogdanovich and John Waters both doing similar things. I mean, Bogdanovich did that with Last Picture Show.
Mhm.
Almost got him fired because he wasn't shooting coverage. And Waters said, I had no idea what I was doing, and I just simply would shoot the scenes in sequence in camera. And,
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here we sort of had this little bow between these directors who are very different, and people's appraisals certainly will vary. But yet, I've enjoyed all their work. I've even enjoyed the work of Ed Wood for what it was.
Yeah.
Well, it's a funny thing about Scorsese. I was an extra on a movie of his,
Oh wow.
Boardwalk Empire, and
Cool.
yep. And this is something I learned, and I didn't learn the hard way. Thank God.
Right.
You don't talk when he's directing. At any time. You don't. In other words, if he goes cut, print, you don't look over at another guy and go, "So what are you doing for lunch?" Nothing until you were dismissed. Nothing. Not a word. Guy got fired right in front of me.
Wow.
Really?
And I'll tell you another story. A woman, I don't know her, but during a Woody Allen movie, she was an extra, and she walked up to him and said, "Do you know Marcia Cohen?" And he goes, "I don't think so." She says, "Well, she went to Midwood High with you in Brooklyn. And she told me that if I saw you to say hello." He says, "Well, you say hello to her for me." Fired.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Assistant director walked up and said, "We won't be needing you anymore." "Why?" "Because you spoke to the director after you were told not to."
Mm.
"I wasn't told not to. You just were."
Well, the guy is trying to get something done, and I mean, how much is that meter running?
People
Yeah, I
don't.
mean, well, I
People
mean, when you go so
underestimate how difficult that is.
well at
What they
central
do, how hard
casting,
it is.
Oh my
at,
God.
cent-
That's
at
it's
central casting, they would tell you before you even went on the set, don't talk to anybody, don't mix with
Right.
anybody, just go to get your food, go do your sets, and shut up.
Right. Or
That's all they said.
my brother did extra work out in Hollywood, and yeah, that's pretty much what it was like for him. He did
Yeah.
he did it for the $80 in the box lunch, you know.
There is no place like Hollywood for extras. No, a friend of mine. Do you know Danny Kinsella?
I
Boy, that
heard the
name sounds
name.
familiar. How do I know him?
Anyway, Danny, Danny Kinsella, he moved out to LA. He's been there, for years now, and he signed up with a Screen X. It's not just Actors Guild. It's Screen Extras.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Now
brother.
they've merged since then, but it was Screen Extras. So he signs with them. He pays his dues, and the woman behind the desk goes, "Okay, there's a bus leaving for a set in about 15 minutes. So right now she goes, well, do you want to work?" He goes, "Yeah," and that's what it was like every day, every day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our next door
I
neighbor.
remember
when we lived-
I went into the central, and then I just it's like a call. I said, "Okay, come over. We're looking for somebody to be on this union thing." Look at him. So I'm listening to the guy on the phone describing me. Yeah, he's fat. No, he's not. He's not the bad fat. He's got tone to his fat. Yeah, he's got tone fat. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll send him. All right. You got a job.
Well,
no, he's not obese. He's got muscular fat. That's what he's got. Okay. All right. Send him. All right.
when we lived
Muscular
out there, we lived in a duplex, and the lady in the other half of the duplex, she was waiting for her husband to retire. He worked for DPW out there, the Public Works Department, Water Department, and they were both from Alabama. In fact, once he retired, they just moved back to Alabama. But while they were out there, he worked as a laborer for the Department of Public Works, and she was an extra, and she would get up, and she would only work for the groups that had buses to send them to she would either work at the studio.
so no driving.
No, she wouldn't drive. She would take the bus over to either Sony, or at that time it was Columbia, either Columbia or MGM or Paramount or Fox or whatever the studio was. And then if there was a site that was off for the studio, she would only work for the groups that had bus service for them. So, and they would all pick up at the studios. The bus wouldn't even go into Paramount. It would pick them up on Melrose outside of the Paramount gate there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there is a certain art to it, even if you're just walking across a room. I mean, Chaplin brought a production to a halt for 3 months because his leading lady couldn't pick up a flower properly. I mean, it was a time when you could do that kind of thing.
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
But
when my brother was an extra, he his longest screen time was in a made-for-TV film about Al Capone, where they busted a speakeasy, and he bursts out the door as the cops are coming in the other entrance. He comes out the back door, looks right, looks left, and then goes back to the right, and then runs right. That was his largest screen, his whole Hollywood career. That was his largest, longest length of time on screen.
In The Shining,
yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Did we lose Sam?
Yeah. The Shining. Come on, don't.
He said The Shining, and then.
I guess maybe the Wentworth or the Lookout Hotel called him back. Who knows?
That could be.
But
we only got a minute left.
I want to go back to the scene between Ed Wood and Orson Welles.
Yes.
I mean, to me, even if it wasn't true, it's a great juxtaposition between the worst and the best. Yeah. And they're having the same problem with their people that are producing and all that stuff.
Right.
Ed Wood is like, my favorite line is, "Yes, you have problems with that. I have. I'm trying to do a film, and they want me to make Charlton Heston a Mexican."
And you know what movie that was for, right? I mean,
Touch of Evil, of course.
Exactly. I mean, which is one of the greatest movies Orson Welles made. I mean, he remembers Kane, but Touch of Evil was an amazing movie. Some great crane shots, and
that one crane shot from the beginning. That was a completely without cuts.
Yes.
So everybody was playing the Hitchcock. They're trying to top Hitchcock and his rope thing.
Well, Hitch was the first one to do a helicopter scene in To Catch a Thief.
Yeah.
The opening of To Catch a Thief. That's one of the first ones shot from a chopper. And then you have Cary Grant in your movie, who you talked out of retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And dude does just, and of course, who was the blonde chick in that movie?
Grace Kelly.
Grace Kelly, thank you. Yes, I was going to say Eva Marie Saint, but she's in North by Northwest.
No, that was the movie she did just before she married Prince Rainier.
Was that her last movie or?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Last movie.
Yeah. If only her daughter had had a better driving instructor. But I'm sorry. I can't help myself.
You don't have to be sorry about that. That's funny.
Man, that's funny.
Thank you, sir.
Jason, you are a comedian. Please
don't you ever apologize.
Good
you know, that's like Jerry Lee. That's like Jerry Lee Lewis. My cousin's going swimming tour. You know, I didn't drown her. What do I give a shit?
God, oh, maybe she could call up William Shatner's wife. They'll need the same magic 8-caller Ouija board.
Oh yeah.
He's 91 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With no sign of slowing down. Oh wait a minute! I just got this. With no sign of slowing down. None.
The guy is a dynamo. I mean, I saw him a year ago at a Star Trek convention, and he just put it out on the stage.
Well, when you have the toupee from Satan, it's going to work out.
But if you do like a signing with him, he's like completely drained. He's like just hardly says a thing, just signs whatever.
Do you have to, if you get an autograph from him at one of these conventions, do you have to pay for that autograph?
Yes, you do. Yeah, for almost everybody there, you're paying for the autograph. But
not a blanket fee, but like that individual.
Individuals charge whatever they want. He charges like 120 for his.
Are you shitting me?
No, I'm not.
Horses need to get fed. I mean,
yeah.
That has been the standard for everybody at autographs signings now.
A C note
no, not that amount, but the people charge for it. It used to be.
I understand charging for it, but a C note.
Yeah, so he charges.
You know what people are? You know what people are paying? If people
any of the Star Trek Olies are charging $100 or more.
Yeah, because
I'm okay with them doing it. I am. I'm okay with them doing it because they don't have any other source of income.
Well, yeah.
But Shatner's doing quite well, thank you.
Yeah.
Last Star Trek note. Just let's all think about this. Lieutenant Uhura, Nichelle Nichols.
Yes.
Ashes are going to be sent into space, and I'm like, yeah thank goodness. She and Jimmy Doohan both managed to. There's an around the world joke they made there, but I'm going to eschew it at this point in time.
Captain, I can't disobey the laws of physics.
Captain, beam me up. I can't take it anymore. I'm going all the way as I can.
Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor. I'm not a gynecologist.
I'm going as fast as I can. I can't take it. Spock, you're left behind, Spock. I'm still on the party. Come on.
It's 1:03. Are we late?
Yeah, we're late. Time to go, guys. Let's wrap it up here. We'll see everybody next week. Back to Mondays next week. All right.
Let's not forget, or I'll kick someone's ass.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? We spend so much time on movies. I wonder if we should maybe sector these off. Do a movie episode. Do a sports episode. I
think we should do a porn episode.
Porn episode. Yeah. You know what? That'll be the one I'll put myself on silent and just watch you guys.
Yeah, I have no history of porn at all. I just
I mean, other than
speak for yourself, Beardo.
Beardo. You know what? Before we leave, I did want to mention when I was Santa Claus for 4 years on local radio. You're talking about the makeup of the station. It was the foreign language station. The guy who was my board operator and host, the guy who hosted Santa, was Iraqi, but he was an Iraqi Christian.
Yes.
And the station manager was Jew, and this head sales manager was a Muslim. It was about as diverse as you could possibly get.
Did any fights break out?
No, we all got along great. And I played, it was funny too, because I played Santa. And this was the funny thing about Santa Claus. Everybody that was there from the Middle East that had not heard of Santa Claus until they got to the US, they thought that Santa Claus was like part of the Constitution, like it was it was like a branch of government of some kind.
Wait, it's not.
Hey, it is. If you talk to anybody who does Santa, they believe it is part of the Constitution.
Did you ever see, real quick? You ever watch Saint Elsewhere?
Yes.
Yeah.
Stephen First plays the doctor, the guy who played in Animal House.
He played Flounder.
And Santa Claus gets a heart attack. A guy who plays Santa Claus gets a heart attack.
Yeah.
And it's up to him to make this to save this guy's life. And this nurse says, "I don't think you can save me." He goes, "Oh, no, he's not going to die. Not at the hands of this Jew. Oh no."
All right, we'll see everybody next Monday. So
take care, guys. Stay well.
You can stay on if you want. We can stay on and we can talk afterwards. But I'm ending the broadcast now. So see everybody.